What's up, y'all? It's Celeste, and I want to talk about what I'm going to call transition envy. And it's something that I think is pretty common for a lot of trans people to experience. But envy is kind of an ugly emotion that we don't really like to talk about. So it's kind of something that I think a lot of people are maybe afraid to talk about or afraid to admit that they experience. So I'm just going to throw it out there and talk about it, and maybe we can sort of open up a conversation about it. So when I say transition envy, probably the most obvious aspect of that, or obvious type of transition envy there is when somebody is unable to transition, wants to transition, is unable to either temporarily or permanently for a variety of reasons. It could be cost, it could be lack of resources, like physically in their area. It could be health or medical reasons why they can't transition or transition in the particular ways that they want to transition. It could be a safety issue. It could be that they are financially dependent on somebody like their parents or a partner or somebody who would not continue to support them if they transitioned. It could be all kinds of different things that are reasons why people don't transition. But I think a lot of people who are transitioning also experience transition envy because it's kind of a bad habit, but I think most of us tend to kind of compare ourselves to others. And when it comes to transition, when we a lot of times have particular goals in mind and a particular look that we're going for, and a lot of us are in some type of community or even just watching other people online or in Facebook groups or anything like that, where you are sort of following other people's transition at the same time as your own, it can be kind of hard not to compare yourself to others, which sometimes can be a good thing. I mean, that's part of the benefit of communities like this, or having friends, or even just watching people online, reading things online, etc., to get an idea of what you can expect or what the variety of possibilities are and things like that. That's the positive aspect of it. The negative aspect is, it's like I said, it's hard not to compare yourself, and when you want something, when you're trying to reach a goal and you're kind of at the mercy of your own genetics and your own biology, it can be frustrating, and it can be difficult to deal with that. And it's an uncomfortable feeling to look at other people and want what they have, and it's not necessarily a malicious thing. It's not like envy always has to be something where you want the other person not to have what they have. It's more just if they have that, why can't I? That kind of feeling. But what I think is really interesting is that it seems like the envy would always come from seeing other people's transitions and feeling like they're ahead of you, that you have to catch up, or that you haven't achieved what they've achieved. And so it's, that's usually what I think a lot of people talk about when they talk about this topic, is other people have gotten facial hair faster than me, and that's really frustrating. But what I think is kind of interesting is that it can also work the other way around. For me, I'm really frustrated by the fact that I had to stop testosterone because I did not want facial and body hair, and I got that, I started to get that really fast. I obviously didn't get too far into it because I kind of as soon as I felt it and saw it coming in, I stopped taking testosterone after only 3 months. But it's frustrating because I have a number of other people that I follow on YouTube, and some of whom I'm in contact with on other social media as well, who started testosterone at basically the exact same time as me, and some of them even a little bit after me. And they've continued to take testosterone. So I've followed their transition since then. And it is a little bit hard not to feel envious of the other changes that they've had, like deepening a voice, which was one of the main things that I wanted when I started taking tea. And again, it's not in any way a thing where I am angry at them or want them not to have it at all. It's not at all like that. I'm really happy for them. But it's hard for me to see that and feel like that's where I could be at this point, if not for the fact that I really didn't want facial hair, and that happened really fast for me because a lot of other people who I see online, like I said, are on the other side of that, complaining about the fact that they've been on tea for a year or even sometimes 3 years and they barely have any facial hair. And I'm sitting here can we trade? Because I would like, that would be awesome if I could take testosterone for like several months or even a year and not have to deal with the facial and body hair issue. Like, that would be fantastic. Then I would feel like I had a lot more freedom to get to the voice level that I really wanted, and also see what happens with like the shape of my face and like body distribution and things like that. But I never really got to experience that too much because of the fact that I like super fast started to get hair. So kind of side note on that, I am actually considering taking testosterone again for a brief period of time, just because of this feeling that I have that I'm so frustrated that I feel like I could get a little farther if I just took it for a little bit longer, but I'm scared because I don't want to get facial hair. But anyway, it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of interesting because I don't think that aspect of it is talked about. And I think a part of that is because I think that's less common for binary trans people, or maybe that's not the way I should put it. It's less common for people who desire a pretty clearly masculine, or I assume feminine presentation. I'm not in touch with as many trans feminine people, particularly non-binary trans feminine people. So I'm not as familiar with like the variety of, you know, experiences that go under that umbrella. But definitely for trans masculine people who desire a like pretty clearly masculine appearance where they are read as masculine if not male, I think that this is a lot less common because people want like all the changes because they want to like, I mean, that's just what they're going for. That's definitely not a blanket statement. There are people of all gender identities, including binary trans people, who don't want all the changes, who don't maybe even want any of the changes. You don't have to go on hormones or have surgery or whatever. You don't have to physically transition whatsoever to be trans. But I guess I've seen it more among non-binary people, or in the communities that I'm in for non-binary people, where people maybe talk about this more. If it's not that they actually experience it more, it's more talked about in those communities. The idea of wanting certain changes and not other changes, or wanting an androgynous or ambiguous gender presentation. So that's why I think maybe this side of it that I'm talking about is a little bit more common in those communities. But again, maybe I just don't know what it's like in, you know, in the grand spectrum of things. So I'd be really interested to hear about your experiences and see, you know, maybe if this does go beyond that. So I don't really have a solution for this, or really any advice or anything like that. It's more just something I kind of wanted to bring up, and like I said, maybe start a conversation about if anybody else has experienced this or like has any other insight on this. Definitely leave a comment below, and or you could even make your own video about this and do a response kind of thing. I love when people do that. But I'd just like to hear what other people think about this, or like whether other people have experienced this in, you know, in whatever way, like whether it's like I said, if it's something that you are not able to transition at all, or if you are, but you are like impatient about it, or if you, like me, have that aspect, but also like this other side where it's like kind of frustrating that it's just kind of frustrating in general. You can't control like how transition goes for you. And I mean, obviously this is the same thing for cis people, or for like anybody who experiences like their original development. Like, you don't, like, it's hard not to compare yourself to others, and then like there's the whole thing where it's like, well, maybe I didn't really want to have such and such happen, maybe I wanted to have this other thing happen. And so, you know, it's definitely not a thing that's relegated only to trans people, but trans people tend to experience it twice, which is kind of frustrating. And it's also maybe a little bit different, especially for trans people who transition when we're older, that it's kind of annoying that we're experiencing this again as adults, and not like, I don't know, just like it's not like it's easy when you're a teenager by any means, but it's kind of like everybody's experiencing it at once. So it's kind of like you get it over with and then you're done with it, and then you're supposed to like move on with your life. But like going through it again is kind of frustrating. But anyway, Give me your thoughts on this below, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my future content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.